Hello everyone, a very good evening. I'm your host Gurtej and I have Parminder Singh, my co-host for the weekly podcast. So we have a special guest today with us, Gagan Kaur. So we will request her to share her expertise and about herself with us. Then we will go into detail to learn from her how the things are transitioning towards coding or towards the computer skills and how our kids should be better prepared or everybody should be better prepared for the future that we are going in. So I'll welcome Gagan Kaur and will request her to please share about herself.
Thank you, Gurtej and Parminder. I'm Gagan. I have an engineering degree in electronics and telecommunication, and I worked in the corporate sector across the globe for about 26 years at this point. Very, very passionate about education. I come from a family of educators, and as my kids were growing up, I figured the best path for me is to bring together my profession with, my family background, with something that I just enjoy and love doing is teaching, working with kids. So 2019, Roar was born out of that passion, where I bring together, as I said, my profession and my passion. So that's Roar Coding and Robotics Academy now.
So thank you very much, Gagan. Yeah, Parminder, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Gagan. So yeah, these days, because we know this is the time or the world of technology. So every single sector in this world, wherever we go, like whether it's mechanical, electronics, computer science, so there is programming involved one way or another. So can you please explain what type of sectors that we, in general for our audience, like which sectors do, because we just think from the programming point of view, we just think that programming from just on the computers or in computer science. Can you please explain what fields do programming get involved in?
Excellent question. So as you can see up on the screen, it's the shortest answer is a 3-letter word, all. It is already touching our lives in ways you can't even imagine. IoT, artificial intelligence, our healthcare, it's impacting all of these fields. We are already in the 4th industrial revolution. The previous 3 revolutions have, caused different dynamics, a lot of changes in the jobs. And this one is here to stay long term. We're already there. Our current workforce, or the workforce that's the kids who are getting into the workforce at this point, they really need to upskill to be able to stay in. And our young generation that's making the decisions right now, that's deciding which path to go in, whatever you do tomorrow, whether you, as you said, manufacturing, mechanical, healthcare, programming or technology is going to touch your lives. You have to know how it works.
So we can say, in case if we have to be more proficient in our job, whether it's whatever stream we are in, so we need to understand how programming works, so that at least we can work optimally, because today the world is about automation. The manual work is diminishing, and a lot of companies are actually investing a lot of talent into automation. So in case if we have that programming skills, I think it will be a much easier approach to work, instead of doing that manual job that has been there for a while. So, and also, can you talk about when we say programming, because it's pretty a broad term for most of people. Can you talk about what type of programming languages that kids usually go into these days? And because when we say when we used to go into school, so they were saying that okay, C++ were the main programming languages. Can you talk about what type of coding languages students can learn alongside their whatever elementary school or high school they're going to right now?
Excellent question, and it's a pretty long answer. C, C++, still done today. Java, Python, pretty popular. PHP, these JavaScript, these are all languages that the kids should learn to play with, and I use the word play with in particular because one thing I strongly believe is we don't need to create engineers at this age. Okay. The goal of the academy is the way we envision it is it's not to make you an expert at Java or an expert at Python. It's what comes with it. Okay. It's the critical thinking of, okay, here I have a project or a problem. How am I going to solve it? Right? The cognitive flexibility that comes with it, with learning a language when you move from Java to C++, do one project or the other. It's those skills, the problem solving ability that you build as you go through this process that is critical. So once you have those skills, the language, the programming language is agnostic. You can just pick up anything that gets thrown at you. So you said, Parminder, when you were growing up, it was C++. Interestingly, it's C++ still, C and C++, there's Java, and there's Python, and there's PHP, and it's going to change by the time these kids grow up,
Yep.
right? We don't know what it's going to be. Big data came along, and then something else will come along. It is going to change. Every 5 years, technology is going to change. What's going to stay with you is your cognitive flexibility, your critical thinking, the problem-solving skills that you learn as you learn the languages that are available today.
And another a question about from the kids' point of view, like for example, kids can learn at their own pace, but how much time do you think a kid can be ready to understand the fundamentals of the programming, and he or she will be able to start writing code by himself or herself?
There's no one answer to that. Every child is different. We have, for example, I'm going to tell you about, without taking names, 3 different kids in a one-on-one class that I have, right? We are working on Scratch, which is an excellent starting point to, start up that fire in kids to learn more. Okay, it's a combination. What we do is a combination of creativity and the coding. We offer that sort of combination to them, and they love it. So the 3 different kids I'm talking about, one of them has been able to write, I can't say lines of code because it's block-based coding, but if I were to translate into lines of code, thousands of lines of code within one project, a 4th grader. And he's using that to create an animation. So he's written a story and he's using that to create an animation, and he's learning everything about coding. Okay, I have another student who's probably going 1/4 of that pace. Again, learning, getting exciting, loving what she's doing, and never thought of going into programming, but wants to do more now. Now she's thinking of going into Python.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, there's no one answer. It depends on the ability of the child. It depends how we're able to build up the excitement, the interest, and that's what we want to do. Whether it takes 6 months to 3 years, we want you to love the subject to be able to want to know more when you leave.
Yeah.
So, Gagan, as you are coming from a background that was educational background, you saw that there's a transition towards this coding thing, and it will be in everywhere or all the aspects. So you have started this great initiative with the Ruru Academy where you will be teaching it to kids. So a question came to my mind, as it's 2020, everything has been disrupted. So majority of the things have transitioned online. So majority of the jobs will be displaced in future. So is there a age, or is there a background concept one has to have before start learning the coding? So like you mentioned you are teaching kids. So do you think at any age, at any juncture, one can learn the concept and get the mastery of this concept?
Absolutely. We have kids as young as 5 who can start learning. We have kids with us up to grade 11 and 12 who were coding for the first time, they started with the same programming platform as the 5-year-old started. So again, it's all child dependent, and then how fast they learn and how far they get. We have students, I'm going to think back here a little. I think I have a 7-year-old, and the eldest one is an 11th grader. They're all doing web page development. They're making their own web pages, and we're going to make that live on our website. So what they're able to achieve and how much they're able to learn and the finesse that goes into building their web page is going to be different. But the interest it's creating in them, when they click that button and they see their web page go live, even if it may not be perfect, it's just what we want. It's once they see it live, they want to do more, and as they grow up, their capacity will increase, and they'll want to do that more and more.
And also, like for example, sorry, Gurtej. So there's a very good point that you brought up. So like, for example, the imagination or the innovation that we usually use the term in IT these days. So that's the key factor. So can you talk about, like, for example, what type of mental model we have towards jobs, like when we work? What's the mental model behind it? Because sometimes it can be imaginative, but sometimes it's just like doing the job day-to-day basis as a robotic. So can you talk a little bit more about this?
Excellent question. So we believe jobs can be classified into 4 broad categories. One's the robotic algorithmic jobs, right? Now there's the rote jobs, point A to point B, give the instructions, and do that task. A third category is talent-driven. These are the skills, the professional jobs. And then there's the imaginative, unique, and creative jobs. That's where our innovators are going to be sitting, right? So you can see right from that graph how the digital revolution is going to change that. It's already changing that. Those 2 categories are eventually not going to be human-led, right? The first 2 that I mentioned, they're eventually not going to be human-led. So you want to position yourself, you want to pivot today. So who are already in the workforce or fresh in the workforce, you want to make sure you upskill yourself today.
Yeah.
Okay. AI is here. It's going to be taking over. But it's not all doom and gloom. It is going to create, I believe, I think the last number I saw is more than 130 million jobs in the next 5 to 6 years. So you want to make sure you're ready for that. You make sure you move to the right quadrant to be able to prepare to be successful. But our younger generation, the kids that we work with, grades, kinder through 12th, you have a head start. You have a head start. You have the awareness today. We want you to have the awareness today. That's why we are here. We want you to be exposed to all of the options, to be able to decide where you want to be when you enter the workforce. And most importantly, we want you to love what you do. Yeah. That's the way the curriculum's designed, is for you to be able to love and enjoy what you do.
Yeah.
So Gagan, here as we see that there are different portfolios or different areas inside the coding arena. So one thing you mentioned, a 5-year-old or one that is going in 11th grade, they can grab the concept simultaneously. So there's always a misconception like this is a new platform, or not everybody is aware of coding or the computer skills. So normally we correlate it with if somebody has started learning mathematics from 1st grade to 12th grade, then only they can go into engineering profession. Or somebody who has studied from 1st grade to 12th grade the biology, they can only go into the medical profession. So one thing you mentioned that there will be millions of jobs created. That means some jobs will be transitioned, or some workforce has to transition from their current opportunities towards coding, towards computer skills. So if somebody is at their like 35, 40 or 45 or that age group, can they learn also If yes, so what is the route for them to learn and do the transition?
Yes, they absolutely can, and they absolutely must think of this. Um, the academy right now, at this point, we are not catering to that age group, but there are people, there are organizations that are catering to that group, and definitely that, that 30 plus, if you're not, don't have that know-how, it's absolutely critical that you start working on it now.
So yeah, so that is doable. So that means yeah, everybody. So especially we should encourage the kids. They should start learning now because this is the future. And for
Absolutely.
anybody else, so who wants to change or transition to this profession, this is doable. There are tools available. They can always get guidance from you. So especially for kids as well, from for themselves as well. So get guidance, and if somebody is interested, so they should definitely explore these opportunities.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I just like a step back to a very interesting point you made about mathematics and biology, right? Starting at kinder all the way up to 12th grade, you have to do math. You have to do your language arts and your sciences. And so we are, ROAR is an after school, we offer after school enrichment programs. But one of our values, one of our core values is that academics is extremely important, okay? And we use kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as we call it in the business world, to drive that. And we believe that academics is the basic need that must be fulfilled. So yes, we offer coding robotics, and we'll help you, develop a love for that subject. We'll give you exposure to some niche technologies. We'll have hands-on projects, but your academia is extremely important. Your math, your ELA is extremely important. I think it's the slide after that, Gurtej. The one with the pyramid, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So yes, so what we do, we offer academic tutoring to be able to support that basic need, and I think this is a must-have, especially in the Central Valley. Okay. The next level we look at, again, coding is a trade skill, as I like to say now. It's a trade skill. It's not a luxury. It's not an option. It's something that our young kids absolutely must be exposed to and learn. But that's the niche area. That's the self-actualization. That's at the top of the pyramid. That's another very important layer that we have built into our curriculum at the academy, is to fulfill the physiological needs of the kids, the social-emotional learning, as we call it. So this was, this is there, but given 2020, this has come into the limelight. This has, it has shown everybody how critical that is, that social-emotional support. Okay, I just like to give an example here of, it's actually my sister's favorite story, and that's where I got it from. Helen Keller, we all know her. She was written off by everybody, okay? There's one person who had faith in her, that stood by her, and that was her teacher, Anne Sullivan, okay? And this is where I think, this is what our kids need, along with all of the education that they're getting, okay? And we absolutely support that. We've entwined that into our curriculum. An example, a real life example, is 2020 has been hard on everybody, right? And we hear high school and elementary schools and everybody talking about mental health. And there are seminars and conferences, and this may happen and that may happen. Great, all that is good. The way we're doing it, for example, is we're running an original oratory competition, okay? And the topic is "We Shall Overcome." Okay, we shall overcome. We have the kids are going to write about it. Writing is therapeutic. So they're going to be able to express what they feel in writing and speaking. So we're having coaching sessions with them to help them write and, deliver their speeches. But that whole process is part of that middle layer that you see up on the screen, because it's going to be therapeutic. They're going to be able to voice their feelings. They're going to be able to express. And that's a very, very important part of what we are doing.
Thanks, Gagan. So another question, because we live pretty close to most technologically advanced cities like Silicon Valley, but still on this side of the hills. So there's a huge gap between the knowledge that we have versus the people living in Silicon Valley have. So can you talk about what are we lacking and how can we cope up with that gap, and how can we match our skill set, and how can we help uplift our income as well as our skill set from a technological point of view to cope up with that difference?
So that's the difference you see up there, how stark that is. The per capita income of San Joaquin versus Santa Clara and Alameda, the per capita income of Stanislaus County, the rung at the bottom, how stark that difference is. And my observation during the time I have been in the Central Valley, that's about 6 years now, is it's number one, the awareness, and the second is the availability of resources. So there's both of these areas need to be looked into. So even if there is awareness sometimes, and maybe there is access to some resources, but then the basic needs aren't met, right? The grades are lacking, they're falling behind. So that's why we're building an organization that fulfills to all of those needs. Okay, and we equip them, we make sure we support them academically, we make sure we provide that emotional support, socio-emotional support, and then give them exposure to all technologies. We have everything from, data analytics, AI, IoT, robotics, you're going to go expose them to all of these for them to be able to know and make good decisions about their careers as they go forward. And hopefully, it's not going to happen immediately, but maybe a generation from now, we can flip those numbers. And that's one of the goals. That's where we're working at the grassroots level. That's where we're working in small cohorts. That's why we have live instructors. 2020 has been crazy. I mean, kids have been online, playing games, watching videos for coding. Great, that's exposure. But what comes from working together in groups, in teamworks, in hands-on projects is a totally different experience.
Yeah. Hopefully, those numbers will flip one day.
Yes, that's the goal. We have to flip those numbers.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Praveen. That's okay.
Yeah. So another question that I had was, we talked about the programming languages. Like, for example, I'm also from the IT field, so we see a lot of coding requirements or scripting requirements in Python, for example. So can you talk a little bit more about what advancements can a student go into, and what type of those advancements can link to different levels of programming, as well as the AI or other aspects of IT, how they can use that skill set, the advancement in the skill set, towards those type of jobs?
Right. For the group that we are catering to right now, it's more about taking the decisions on which direction they want to go in. And again, as I said, today's Python, tomorrow it may be something else. But with the example of Python, we start with grade 5. And our first introduction to Python is, you'll be surprised, it's not about like hardcore programming concepts. We do digital artwork with them. Okay, through the digital artwork, they have, they'll have work on their problem-solving abilities, their critical thinking. They'll learn some basic syntax and sort of graduate from a block-based coding to text-based coding. Okay, and I'm going to give the example of one of my students. He came in, I think it was my fall semester, and he had done C++. Okay, so we get on a class, introduction to Python. I believe and he goes, yes, I've done C++. So, well, okay, then you're in the wrong class, but let's talk about C++. Sorry. And no, there was nothing to say. Standard out also was you know what standard out is. He could not explain standard out, standard basic commands. He could not. And that's the approach that is different, because fifth graders, you want them, again, that's again my belief, and I think it works pretty well. I've seen with my students is you want them to have fun, enjoy it, and then everything will follow, right? Yep. So we started the Python course with him, and 3 months, and he was like, I don't want this class to end. Right? We talked through variables, functions, data types, pseudocode, for loops, the syntax, but it was just so much fun. If I were a betting person, I would say if you have him back in the class, he'll be able to answer questions on Python. Okay, and that's the difference. So that's the starting level, 5th grade, 6th grade, maybe, depending on the child. And then we do offer like Python level 1 for like high schoolers, 8th grade and up, Python level 1, Python level 2. And this is, again, most of the curriculum is available online. They do it in high school. The difference is you do it with an instructor. Yep. And again, it's just not cut, lesson done, module done. It's the personal touch that's there. It's not a class of 24 or 32. It's a small cohorts that we work with to give that personal individual touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, these all courses that we see on the screen, so you help children or kids with these courses or these languages. So then what's the structure? So are they the evening classes or they are over the weekends? Can you just a little bit share about what the structure of the classes?
Currently, all classes are after school, as in the evenings. We have some on the East Coast, so those start a little early, but typically for the West Coast, they start around 3:30 p.m. We are virtual at this point. Our first location is expected to open this summer. That said, we're working with various cities to be able to offer these in person, because things are changing. Governor Newsom said today, 15th June is going to look different than the last 1 year has. So we're counting on that. I think our kids really need it. So hopefully we'll be in person starting this summer.
So Gagan, if the parents or the kids who are listening, they will be interested in exploring more, how can they learn more about Roar Academy and the Robotics Institution, where they can find more information about it?
Our website, it's www.roar.com. That's Roar with a double R, double O. As my son likes to say, it's the roar of a lion. That's going to take all of us ahead into the future, as our tagline is. That's the goal. So it's roar, double R, double O, AR.com. That's the courses, the programs are available there. Timings obviously keep changing. We're just finishing up our spring semester. Starting May, we'll be advertising our summer camps. So things will change. So, check out the website. The programs will change depending on what we're able to offer, virtual, in person. So there's going to be a mix of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, and towards the end, any other parting words that you want to share, Gagan?
Yes, so I do want to address all parents here. It's high time we all looked at education in a different way. Education is not just what we're doing in school. It's a bigger landscape, and we need to prepare, yes, the academics, but we need to do more to prepare our children for the future that's not coming, but it's here. We're already in it. So you want to set up your child for success wherever you do it. Wherever you do it, set up your child for success. Give them those options, make those options available to them so they can make educated decisions for the future. Okay, and then the other thing is don't drill, the coding, the robotics, the syntax, the C's, the C++. Choose a platform where they can enjoy it, love it, and they will themselves say, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of environment we want to provide to them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gagan.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Gagan. Appreciate your time. And to the listeners, so as being an engineer myself and Parminder also in the engineering field, so we can attest to this, that transition is coming in any field. If you call it medical, mechanical, electrical, civil, everywhere coding will be used. And I would sincerely appreciate Gagan for giving us an opportunity to learn at this early stage, because in a year or 2 years from now, we will be seeing disruption. So I was reading an article today, 80,000 retail big stores, they will be gone in 5 years. And all this, yeah, there is disruption, jobs will be going, but new jobs are coming. So our kids, they have to be prepared for the future. So I'll request all the listeners to please explore Gagan Kaur's new initiative, the endeavor that she is helping us in San Joaquin County and in Central Valley. So with this coding initiative, with her academy, so please learn more about it and ask questions. You can ask questions to us or directly to her. So we are here to provide more information so that you can make a decision, informed decision for your kids, for our next generation. So thank you very much, Gagan. Thank you, Parminder. And to our
Thank you.
listeners, we will see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.